We will now look into the Cost Reports tab. In the Cost Report, you will capture the delivery on each of the suppliers that are contracted to the project, align your call sheets, and also source invoices and contracts from the suppliers. At first glance in your cost report, you will see that all the budget line items that you have populated in your production budget have now all rolled over into the cost report. Now we can start populating the cost transactions that we expect to incur. You will notice that your account number, sub-account number, category, and your subcategory. This is to ensure that we maintain a consistent mapping categories and subcategories as we did in the production budget. In the status column, you will notice that the transaction lines are all in draft stage. This means this is an internal view that will remain a view in your production company. The broadcaster does not have access to this. Once you've published, the status will change, indicating that you have published the cost report for review from the broadcasting company. You can then allocate suppliers to each of the transaction costs. Provided that you have access to the supplier invoice and contract, you can then upload, and your contract will be stored against that particular transaction cost. Because we're in the first month, we will then change the number of units and change the frequency to indicate how often we expect to make this payment. The amount in the cost month to date tells you how much you've spent for that particular month. If you had selected that your supplier was a company, the company taxes column would be enabled. But we registered our supplier to be an individual. Therefore, we need to put in their individual taxes. The cost year to date will reflect how much money you spent at the end of the duration of the project. The cost committed column indicates how much of our contracted amount we have left over. In the cost uncommitted column, you can then indicate if you expect to incur any additional charges to that transaction cost. You can then provide commentary in the risk comment column. The forecast cost will show you any forecasted amounts for that particular category. The expected deviation will take into consideration how much you expect to spend against the budgeted amount for that category and will flag for you whether you expect to go over budget for that particular category. Once you are ready to make the cost report available to the broadcasting company, you can then click Publish. Please note that the information you've captured in the cost report is subject to review from the broadcasting company. Once they have approved the cost report on their end, then you will both have the same updated version of the cost report.